Next month marks 1 year since the Trump administration announced it would end the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA for short. It temporarily protects some undocumented immigrants from deportation. The Justice Department initially set a deadline to end DACA on March 5th, but it's been in legal limbo ever since. And with judges ruling to either reinstate the program or kill the program, the government could be under dueling DACA orders. The Supreme Court might have to settle the dilemma. Back in January, we talked to immigration attorney Cesar Vargas, who was once undocumented. Cesar, it's nice to have you back.
Thank you so much for having me.
And catch up. And I don't think we've had a lot of progress, actually, in all those months that have passed since we've spoken. When you look
gotten worse.
Right? You look at polls. 87% of people polled say that they believe that immigrants who've been brought to the country illegally as children should be allowed to stay. 87%. It's pretty definitive how the public feels about DACA and even just children who come to the country, even undocumented. So why has there been so little definitive action?
Congress is not listening to the American people, and as we're seeing with this poll, it's very clear where we stand as a nation. It's just Congress that we need to get a new Congress to really get results.
So you've gotten more cynical in the last few months since we've last spoken. Do you think it does go to the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court decides it?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we're definitely going to have decisions right now where we have in New York and California pretty much battling the Trump administration, saying that DACA should stay.
So what happens? Let's say the judge in Texas says, okay, let's end DACA.
No question about it. This is states really dealing with different jurisdictions, different rulings, and now everyone's confused of what's next. And most importantly, dreamers are saying, what's next? Should I renew? Should I just hide? Should I apply for the first time? Or should I just completely go back into the shadows?
The stories about children on the border are really not front page news anymore, but it's not like it's been resolved. There are at least 500 children who've not been reunited with their parents and might not ever be.
Yeah, now we're seeing that 450 parents have been deported. And of course, the administration has said that there are some groups of parents who didn't get reunified because either they had criminal records or because the adults that came with the children were not the parents. But ultimately, we also saw that many of these parents are now in Guatemala, in Honduras, in Central America, across the world.
How does that play into the midterms, do you believe, right? Because on one hand, I've never seen Latinos vote in massive numbers. I don't think they ever really get to 50%. And no matter what a candidate has said about them, no matter what horrible things happen, that doesn't seem to spur Latinos to go to the poll. This midterm might be different, but historically, that's been the case. Is it going to be, well, not necessarily Latino voters, but the voters, the suburban mom voters, the white women voters, right, who might be so angry about this issue around children that it impacts the midterms? I
think it is going to have an impact because now it's having a real impact ultimately on how we feel. And I think, when it comes to the Latino votes, I think we have been, we're hoping to be conscious, but we have been active. And across the country, we are seeing in local races, whether it's city council, whether it's mayor or state senate, the Latino vote is activating. And
do you think it'll get above 50% midterms?
I hope so. I hope so. I know a lot of people are doing great work across the country to ensure that we are activating our communities, and all politics is local. And we want to make sure that we are moving to a direction where we are making that change, not just at the congressional level, but also at the city council, at the state level. And I think we're going to see ultimately everyone coming out and saying enough is enough. We need new leadership, and we need to really get this nation back on track.
Cesar Vargas, nice to have you back with us.
Thank you so much for having me.